Hi, this is Barry Lewis along with Mike Brown, and welcome to our look at Week 10 of the high school football season, the final regular season week of the season for most teams. 1 week to go before the playoffs, and Mike, there's a lot at stake this week, including the game you're going to see Friday night, Memorial at McAllister.
That's a game that determines second place in District 5A3. Well, second and third place. Both teams are in the playoffs. Memorial will make its first playoff appearance in 23 years. Got to see Caden Pratt, the very gifted running quarterback at McAllister a couple of weeks ago, and looking forward to the trip back. And what about that big 4A showdown between Cassia Hall and Broken Bow?
Well, that'll be an interesting game as Cassia Hall looks to wrap up the district title in a perfect 10-0 season. The 4A #1 ranked Commandos, led by Abram McQuarters, one of the state's leading rushers, coming off a 70-0 victory over Rogers last week. It looks like even if Cassia were to lose, it'd still be in good shape to win a tiebreaker to win the district, but I know Joe Medina wants to go, Cassia coach Joe Medina wants to go into the playoffs with momentum and a victory. And Mike, there's a few other big games this week. One of those is in 6A. Booker T at Bartlesville. Winner takes all for a playoff berth.
Wow. And, Bartlesville's kind of had an up and down season, but they've been hanging in there. And, there's a lot of teams that are hanging in there for playoff berths. Maybe we ought to talk about sharpen up your pencils and run through those playoff scenarios. And remember, those three-way ties can be a little complicated. And I know that maybe one of the biggest games around is in, we don't talk about Class A too much, but one of the biggest games around is in Class A this week.
Our game of the week is Morrison at Kiefer. Morrison, of course, the traditional small school power. And Kiefer, in its first year in 11-man football, they're going to have a showdown for the A7 title. It's a classic matchup at Kiefer. Kiefer's great defense, and of course, they've got a pretty powerful offense too. Kiefer and Morrison are both averaging over 40 points a game. It should be a great matchup in Kiefer. And also, Mike, in Class 6A, interesting matchup at Broken Arrow. Westmore at Broken Arrow. The winner gets second place. It looks like, although I guess there are some scenarios, but realistically, the winner gets second place. And when we talk about getting second place in the district and why that's important, the difference between second and third place, second place gets to host a first-round home game, and the loser goes on the road. And in this case, the loser is probably going to have to go on the road to Union, the four-time defending state champions. So there's a lot of incentive for Broken Arrow and Westmore to win this game.
Yeah, and two very strange teams. Broken Arrow with its injuries. I'm not sure if they've ever put their best foot forward this season, but at their best, I think that they're still capable of defending or competing for a state title. Westmore again is another strange team that's had its ups and downs, but here they are. You got to feel like Broken Arrow is gonna take that game.
In District 3A5, don't want to forget that showdown for a district title, or it could be a showdown. Metro Christian at Berry Hill, and of course, if Metro were to win, Verdigris would be a part of this three-team scramble, which would probably be decided on district points. So 3A5, very interesting, great game, Metro Christian at Berry Hill. And for one team, the playoffs do start this week. Holland Hall in the Southwest Preparatory Conference is back in the playoffs. They're playing a semifinal game at Houston Episcopal on Saturday. Mike, any closing comments?
Well, again, sharpen up those pencils, and if you don't understand those marginal points, remember, it's plus or minus 15 by the margin you win or lose by. But it's only 1 point either way if your game ends in a tie.
All right. Thanks, Mike. And we thank you for joining us for our look at high school football. We'll see you next week.